right. Hey guys. Hello. It is me, Danielle J. Mitchell, your up and coming queen of real estate. And I'm here for, again, today's and this week's Tuesday tip at 2. So I'm excited. I'm excited to continue in this series. I have gotten some really good responses to this series that I've been doing on these different grant programs. I've gotten some great responses numbers wise. I'm not sure if it's helping. I haven't heard comments, right? So I haven't exactly gotten comments, but I've definitely saw some great numbers, some likes. So continue to do what's over here. Like, share, and comment. Please continue to do so. But I have seen as far as numbers, right? Growth in numbers, growth in subscribers. So those of you who are new to the Tuesday tips at 2, thank you. Welcome. Thank you for joining. And so I appreciate it. I appreciate that you guys are actively, looking at this content as well as liking it, subscribing it, and hopefully you're sharing as well. So that's, let's get right into it. So as I previously have done, I talked about the first front door home buying grant program. Again, the first front door home buying grant program. Okay, so I talked about that last week. So this week, in keeping with the theme of how I've been doing this series, I'm going to now go over the pros and cons. So I gave like a good little overview of the program last week, just to give you a bit of a teaser. And today I'm gonna go into a bit more details when, deciphering the pros and cons of the program. Like with any program, there are pros and cons to it. So we're going to get into it today. All right. So some of the pros, which is pretty much some of the things I went over with you guys last week. I'm gonna try to take these bangles off. The bangles are, seem to be a good idea in the moment, right? Because I'm showing up, I'm ready for work. This is work. This is part of work for me. And it always feels like a great idea in the moment. But of course, for video and editing purposes, it is not the greatest idea. So let's just get rid of them. Anyway, like I said before, some of the benefits to the first front door home buying grant program is that they give you up to $5,000 towards your down payment and or closing costs. Okay, up to $5,000 towards your down payment and or closing costs. So pretty much, they are giving you, to every dollar that you bring, they're bringing $3. So essentially, I kind of did the math on it a little bit. Essentially, you'll need about close to $1,700 of your own money to be able to utilize the full $5,000. Okay, so if you want to utilize the full $5,000, you have to have at least about 1666, really is the number 0.66 of your own money in order to utilize the full $5,000, which is not much, right? Because listen, if you've been listening to me, you should have definitely been saving about 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, as much money as you possibly can. But at a minimum, I feel like a good amount is that $5,000, depending on your price point. Now, the higher the price point, of course, the more money you need to save towards your home purchase. But as long as you qualify for a mortgage, okay, you can utilize this program, and as long as you're a first-time home buyer. All right. So let's go into the con. Let's go into the con. With every grant program, there are some stipulations. There are some rules, eligibility requirements to make sure that you are adhering to and following. Okay, so let's get into it. So of course, as I said before, number one, it's only for first-time home buyers. So if you are currently a homeowner, I'm so sorry, you cannot utilize this. It is different from the Bank of America program, where you can, utilize those programs even if you are not a first-time home buyer. But with this one, you must be a first-time home buyer. What does that entail? That means that you cannot have owned a home, okay, or had your name on a home, even if you didn't have a mortgage on it, have your name on a home for 3 years. 3 years. That qualifies you as a first-time home buyer if you have not owned in 3 years. Now, if you are married, neither of you are able to have owned in 3 years. It's not just one, okay? It's both. Both. So if you're married, one of you may be owned, you may be newlyweds or something like that. One of you own, or maybe, it's like, well, we have one property, but one of us isn't on, the home that we currently own, or the rental property we have, income property, should I say. And it's like, well, one of us can use it. Nope. They're like, nope, both of you have to be first time home buyers. Okay. Number 2, it cannot be coupled with any other grant. It cannot be coupled with any other grant, which is very much typical of grant programs anyway. So it's all right. Number 3, there is an income limit, and it's based on the HUD guidelines. The income limit has to be 80% or less. It's the 80%. So there are different percentages when it comes to that. The income limit guidelines at 80% is pretty much the highest, if you will. So for a person of a one-person household, so if it's just you, your income limit is $52,950 or less. Okay. If you make more than that, if you make $60,000, you do not qualify as a first-time home buyer to use this grant money. If you make $53,000 a year, you do not qualify. Okay. If you are a family of 4, okay, the income limit is $75,600. $75,600. Okay, or less. Okay, so that $75,600 is the top end. The top end. Okay. Now, of course, depending on family size, you could be 2-person, you could be 3, you could be 7. That varies. If you want more information, you can go and you can contact me, and I'll tell you the numbers. All right. So, number 4, there is no cash back. So, say for example, you're using the grant program, you put down maybe a good amount of earnest money deposit, and you don't have too much to bring at closing, okay? And say that you only need to bring $4,000 at closing, but you do qualify and are able to get $5,000. They will not cut a check at closing for you at the tune of $1,000. Which is something that can happen with other grants, or just in general, if you put down, a lot of money up front and maybe you're owed some money at the end. All right. They're saying, nope, we're going to give you exactly what you need. So if you only need $4,000 when it comes to closing, that's exactly what we're going to give you, even though you may qualify for the whole $5,000 that they're offering. Okay. Now, number 5, you must live in the house. So if you utilize this program, if you utilize this grant, you must live in the property for at least 5 years, Okay. If you, for some reason, rent it out or leave before then, you may need to pay all and or some of that grant money back. All right. Number 6, of course, like most grant programs, the home that you purchase must be your primary residence. All right. It cannot be the vacation home. It cannot be the rental or income property, the flip. It has to be your primary place of residence. Number 7, they say it can take up to 10 days to deem you eligible for the program. So that's not fast enough sometimes when it comes to being pre-approved. When you're pre-approved for something, you want to know relatively fast. Now, again, with grant programs, sometimes it can take that long depending on the grant program. They're clearly saying, hey, it can take up to 10 days. for us to deem you eligible. And really, it just depends on, which I'm gonna get into, which is I'm gonna just make it number 8. Might as well get into it now. It just is up to whomever you're pre-approved by, okay? Which has to be in accordance with their provider list. So you can only get this grant, number 8, through their provider list, through those who they deem, okay, eligible to service you a mortgage and who they are working with to provide the grant. I hope that made sense. So they have a list of lenders that will allow you to use this grant. So you have to use those lenders. So you have to go through their protocol in order to acquire a mortgage. Once you get through that phase, then you kind of automatically become eligible for the program as long as you're a first-time home buyer and you meet that income bracket. Okay. Number 9, you must take the home buying class. If you are a first-time home buyer, you must take the home buying class. All right. It has to be HUD approved, and it's not necessarily a con. Again, I'm going through all the cons. It's not necessarily a con if you don't mind it. It's typically not a big deal. It's just one extra step in the home buying process that could be like, okay. And hopefully you can get into a class relatively quickly, depending on what class you're doing. Some home buying counseling classes just have like this, I want to say not automated, but like a class, maybe like a save class they did, like it's not a live class, if you will. So they probably made a video already and you could just kind of do it at your own pace rather than having to wait for, a physical person to host a class. Okay. In that case, that's perfect, right? Because you could just do it whenever. And so there's no delay in the home buying process and the process of you, going through with your mortgage. Number 10. Let's talk about number 10. Number 10 is something that I often talk about because it just comes down to using banks, okay? As I've talked about before, using banks in the home buying process can be a bit complicated, a bit tedious, okay? They work banking hours. So if your bank closes at 5 p.m., 6 p.m., the mortgage lender closes at that same time. Matter of fact, maybe before, because you might have a bank that stays open till 7 p.m. But I promise you that mortgage lender, that division in that bank is going to be done by 4 and 5 o'clock. So what that means, weekends, evening time, when we want to put in an offer, we can't get a hold of the lender and they need to write up a pre-approval. Okay. We just need to go over numbers for whatever reason. They are an integral part in the process. Okay. And when you can't get a hold of them, it slows up the process. Realtors, we work at a certain pace. And a lot of times they are, because our clients are working during the day, right? We want them to be working during the day, right? Because that helps to qualify them to buy a house. So if they're working during the day, then sometimes, hey, after 5 o'clock, after 6 o'clock, you have to be available to see properties, or the weekends have to be available. And most just mortgage lenders from mortgage lenders who are not a part of a, division in a bank. There are, that's all they do. They flow with how the real estate industry flows. So I can call at 7 p.m. and get what I need and ask the questions I need because, hey, that's how they work, right? So that's one thing. Another thing that sometimes, again, working with banks, their guidelines can be quite different. Sometimes you can get a higher interest rate. Sometimes, the underwriters can reject a file for whatever reason, because a lot of times their guidelines can be a bit more strict when it comes to getting a mortgage. There are just some small factors to consider. So now I'm not a bank basher. Banks are fantastic, but we're talking about buying a home. Okay. It's no different when you go to the doctor and there's something wrong with your heart. You want to get a cardiologist. Okay. You want to go to the specialist. Okay. So if you can get a lending company and all they do is do loans and lend, that's what you want to get, a specialist. Because when you get somebody that, we do everything, it can show. It can show. So that is my caution to you. Listen, if you need these programs, please, by all means, utilize them. Because at the end of the day, whatever house is for you is for you. My job as your realtor is to be sure that I get the house, the deal, the circumstances that fit what you need. Okay. So if you have to utilize these grants, if you need to go for it, like, hey, I just feel more comfortable, using this bank or getting this money because I want to put my money elsewhere, or I need furniture, or whatever the case. So I'd rather just, if I can save money, I'd rather do that. Hey, we can work with it. All right. So thank you. That is all for today's and this week's Tuesday tip at 2. Listen, do this here. Okay. Like, share, comment, subscribe. If these are helping you, please comment. If these are helping you, please subscribe. If these are helping you, please let me know. All right. Now, of course, if you want to learn about this program or any other program, or if you're ready to buy and or sell, you can go to book.djmrealtyco.com. Again, that is book.djmrealtyco.com. And we can schedule a consultation and get you started on whatever your real estate aspirations are. All right. I'm excited. I hope to talk to you guys soon. And remember, there is no place like home, no place like home buying. And oh, wait, before I leave, I have to tell you guys that I am partnering with a real estate colleague to do a home buying seminar. It's been a little bit since I've done one, and I'm excited to partner with this person. And I have to quickly, because I'm not prepared. I have to quickly, there it is. There it is. There I am. I'm doing a home buying workshop this Friday. Okay, this Friday at 6:30 p.m. It is so it's like happy hour home buying. It is via Zoom. Okay, so you can go on Facebook, you can go to wherever you're going to find it, because you certainly know that I have marketed it somewhere in some way, shape, or form. So please join me this Friday if you're interested in buying a home and you want to know like the home buying process from A to Z. That is the opportunity to do it. Okay, this Friday, 6:30. Contact me if you're interested in joining, and I will certainly send you the link. All right. Again, as I was originally about to say, there is no place like home, no place like home buying. I will see you either Friday or next week for a new Tuesday tip. Bye bye.